Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon to talk about bike and pedestrian improvement in the city. My name is Chloé Delhomme, and I'm the city's transportation planner. I'm in the community development department, and with me today we have Song Chong, John Keenan, and Aika Robertson Ramos with the engineering department. So we'll start with about a presentation of about 30 minutes, and then we'll follow up with questions. It seems that we have about 30 participants at the moment. Please note that you're muted and feel free to type any question in the chat box, and we'll get back to this question at the end of the presentation. This session is being recorded, and the recording will be posted on the website in the next few days. So I'll start with an overview of the transportation planning program, talk about recently completed projects, present 4 new projects currently in the planning phase, and then I'll let my colleague talk about 4 ongoing CIP projects. So as you may be aware, the city is doing a citizen survey every 2 years. And in 2016, the top priority was traffic and access. As a result, the transportation planning program was created in community development with the creation of my position in 2017. The first major effort was the completion of the city's first transportation master plan in 2019. The goal of the plan was to define the baseline of the transportation network and identify future improvement for a multimodal network. This was done in conjunction with the comprehensive plan update, which was adopted in 2020. So here are the 2 main maps of the mobility chapter of the comprehensive plan. To your left, the bike network plan, and to your right, the pedestrian network plan. For the bike network plan, the solid line are the existing facilities, the dashed line are the funded facilities, and the dotted lines are the planned facilities. In purple, those are the share use paths, which are on off-road facilities. In red, you can see the bike lanes, which are on-road facilities, and in green, the sharrows, which are shares of road, which are marking on the roadway and signing on the side. To your right, for the pedestrian network plan, you can see in orange, the solid lines are the existing sidewalk network. And in dashed blue, this is a constraint plan, meaning that it's showing the main gap in the pedestrian network. So first, I wanted to talk about some recently completed bike and pedestrian initiative. So 13 miles of bike facilities were added since FY19 as part of the CIP and paving program. So what do I mean by the paving program? Every time a road is being paved, we check to make sure that the roadway is included in the bike network plan. And if it is, and there's no conflict and enough space, we add bike lanes. So you may have seen a lot of different bike lanes added that way. And the last bike lanes were added on Stonewall Road. 2 trails were recently completed, the Dumfries Trail on the west side of Dumfries from Millick to Hastings. And you can see a picture on the top. It's it's next to the new fire station. And then the Osborne Trail, which is a concrete trail next to the Osborne High School, is being completed as we speak. The city has been also expanding bike parking with 98 bike racks, 10 bike lockers, 1 repair station installed since 2017. The city has been focusing on parks, schools, public facilities, and downtown. The 10 bike lockers and the repair station can be found in the parking garage. I also wanted to let you know that if you would like to have more bike parking, or if you'd like to connect your neighborhood to the trail network, you can send a request via the Manassas Connect app, and we'll review those and staff will see if they're feasible. And then also, please keep in mind, I'll be depending on budget availability. So we talked about what was recently built. Now I wanted to talk about a new project currently in the planning phase. So those are the maps again from the comprehensive plan, because every project originates from the comprehensive plan. And then we develop a concept. Once the concept, about 10% design to have an idea of what the project will look like. And then we start the public involvement phase, which is what we're doing now. And once we hear back from you, then we'll look for funding And once the project is funded, the project will be added to the capital improvement program. At that point, the project is handed off from the community development department to the engineering department for design and construction. So I'll go over those 4 projects. First, the Redoubt Road Trail between Workman Court and Redoubt Road. Then there's a Godwin Trail between Wellington Road and Sudley Road. There's a Dumfries Road facilities between Hastings and Wellington Road. And then the Sudley sidewalk between Grant Avenue and Mattis Avenue. So I'll start with the Sudley Road sidewalk project. This is proposing a new 0.7-mile sidewalk on the east side of Sudley Road between Mattis Avenue and Grant Avenue. So there will be a 5-foot sidewalk up to Portner and then 6-foot sidewalk between Portner and Mattis Avenue. As you may be aware, there is already an existing sidewalk on the west side of Sudley Road. If you used it, you may have realized that it's not very comfortable as a pedestrian because there's no buffer between the sidewalk and the roadway, and there's a lot of traffic on Sudley Road. So this project proposes 2 alternatives with a buffer, and we'll go over those in a little bit, but the project cost is from 3 to 3.1 million. So here are the 2 alternatives. So the first alternative is a 6-foot buffer between the sidewalk and the roadway, and alternative 2 is a 3-foot buffer between the sidewalk and the roadway. So alternative 1 provides a wider buffer and consequently more comfort for pedestrians. However, alternative 2 provides a narrow buffer, but we have less right-of-way impact on private properties. Like any project, there are trade-offs, and it's about finding the right balance. So if you like to look at the concept for more details, please visit the project webpage at manassasva.gov/Sudley sidewalk. You can also take a survey and vote for your preferred alternative. So we want to hear from you. Please let us know what you think about this project. Second project is the Dumfries Road bike facilities. This is to include a 0.5-mile bike connection between Wellington Road and Hastings Drive. The cost ranges from $260,000 to $560,000, and the city has been looking at 3 alternatives. The first alternative in green here is alternative D, which is to provide protected bike lanes. There will be 2 bike lanes on each direction of the roadway with protected concrete barriers. This is the most expensive alternative because the median and the curb has to be impacted to provide the adequate width for the bike lanes and the barrier. Alternative E1 in orange here, the second alternative, is proposing a buffer 2-way cycle track. So it is about using an underused turn lane on Dumfries and turning into a cycle track. So this is the least expensive of the alternatives because there is no impact on the curb and it's using existing pavement. And the third alternative in blue here, alternative E2, is a buffered 2-way cycle track. So it's a hybrid alternative. It's a cycle track and then coming close to Walgreens and the intersection with Wellington Road, it turns into a shared use path to limit the conflict of the intersection and east transition into the Grant Avenue Trail. And this has a mid-range cost of $350,000. So more information and all the concept for those 3 alternatives can be found on the project webpage at manassasva.gov/Dumfries. So please feel free to check it out, and you can also take a survey and vote for your preferred alternative, or you can provide your comments on the project itself. This the third project is the Godwin Trail project north between Wellington Road and Sudley Road. It is proposing a new 10-foot wide 0.9-mile shared use path on the east side of Godwin Drive between Wellington Road and Sudley Road. It also includes pedestrian improvement at Ashton Avenue and Godwin Drive. This has been requested from the community many times. There is no existing pedestrian crossing right now on Godwin Drive at that location. So this was the opportunity to include those improvements as part of this project. Project cost is about 8.3 million. And again, the concept, if you would like to see more details of the trails, where it goes exactly, please look at the concept on the project webpage at manassasva.gov/Godwin. Also to provide your comments. And the last project in planning phase is a Redoubt Road Trail. which is a new 8 to 10 foot wide, 600 linear foot shared use path between Wakeman Court and Redoubt Road. So it's basically to connect those two cul-de-sac and provide access to the VRE station. As you may be aware, VRE is expanding the Broadrun station and will provide a north access on the north side of the railroad track. Will be multimodal for buses, bike and pedestrian, and then there'll be a pedestrian tunnel going under the railroad track to provide access to the platform on the other side. The concept for this project is under development, so you won't find it on the project webpage, which is manassasva.gov/redoubt. However, as soon as it's ready and available, it will be posted on the website, so you can keep track of the project and you can still provide comment at this time. So we discussed what was recently built. We discussed what was coming up in terms of planning projects. And now I wanted to tell you about the projects that are currently in the capital improvement programs, which mean they're currently funded. I wanted to give you a comprehensive overview, but we're not going to discuss all those projects today. We're going to discuss the one in bold. The other one are part of bigger projects. So I'll go over those starting from the left, bottom left with the Gateway Trail between Wakeman Drive to Godwin. This will be discussed today. The Knoxville Trail between the Prince William County line to Godwin Drive, which is part of the Knoxville Widening Project. It's currently under construction. The Godwin Trail, which between Wellington Road and Hastings Drive, which will be discussed today. The Dean Drive bike lane between 28 and Foster's Drive, which is part of the Dean Drive Extended Project, which is under construction. The Dean Drive bike lanes between Foster's Drive and Wellington Road, which is part of the Dean Drive Widening Project, is funded for FY26. The Stonewall Park Trail between the Stonewall Park and Liberia Park is funded for FY25. And then the Wellington Trail, which is a small Bavarian safe gap in the Wellington Trail, will be discussed today. And then the Grant Avenue Trail between Prince William Street and Wellington Road, which is part of the Grant Avenue Streetscape project, is currently in design. And now I'll turn it over to Naika to talk about the Gateway Boulevard project.
Thank you, Chloe. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Naika Robeson-Ramos, and I am the project manager for the Gateway Boulevard and Sidewalk and Trail project. This project will install 10-foot wide shared use trail along the north side of Gateway Boulevard, and a new 5-foot wide sidewalk along the south side of Gateway Boulevard. Next slide, please. Here's the project location and the existing. Next slide, please. Here's the proposed conditions, and you can see the new 10-foot wide shared use trail along the north side of Gateway Boulevard and the 5-foot wide sidewalk along the south side of Gateway Boulevard. This project will provide new walking and biking connections for the residents and businesses in the Gateway area. Construction is scheduled to begin this summer for 3 months, and the project cost is $1 million. Next slide, please. I'm also the project manager for the Quarry Street Streetscape project. This project will install a new 5-foot wide sidewalk along the southern side of Quarry Street, and will replace the existing 4-foot wide sidewalk along the north side of Quarry Street. Next slide, please. Here's the existing conditions. Next slide, please. And here's the proposed conditions, where you can see the new 5-foot wide sidewalk along the southern side of Quarry Street and the 4-foot wide sidewalk along the north side of Quarry Street. This project is scheduled to begin this summer, and the current utility undergrounding project should be finished by this June. The project cost is $1 million, and we'll also be paving the road between Main Street and the Messenger Place entrance. I'll now turn it over to Sung. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sung Chung with the engineering department. I'm the project manager for the Godwin Drive Shared Use Path project. is to connect existing trails between Wellington Road and Winners Branch Trail. And it's mostly 10 feet wide and partially 8 feet wide due to constraints, and the environmental impact will be minimal as the shared use path aligns with the existing roadway. This project is budgeted for 1.7 million and it'll be in construction this summer and expected to be completed within 12 months. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the project area. Wellington Road is at the north side of the project area, and Winners Branch Trail is connected to the south side of the project area. There are currently no pedestrian facilities available along the Garden Drive in the project area, which is a missing link that creates a major gap in the north and south bicycle pedestrian network through the city. Next slide, please. There are three main segments that will be built by the city, which is highlighted in red, and portions of the shared use path highlighted in blue will be built with other developments. The project also includes the 4 sidewalk improvements as well as 1 railroad crossing within the project limits. And I'll pass it on to John for next project.
Thanks, Sung. My name is John Keenan. I am the project manager for the Wellington Trail project. As Chloe mentioned earlier, the Wellington Trail is located along Wellington Road between Prince William Street in the south and Oaksville Road in the north. It is a connector basically to fill the gap between the existing trail that's both to the north and south along Wellington Road. And once this connection is made, it will allow for continuous trail access from Liberia Avenue in the east all the way to Godwin Drive in the west, which is basically from the eastern city limit to the western city limit. The total length of the project is about 1,800 feet, and the connection will be mostly 10-foot wide asphalt shared use path. It's going to be located within the right-of-way along the east side of Wellington Road, and there are very minor right-of-way impacts that are expected at this point in design. The project includes, actually slide please, Chloe. The project includes crossing 5 tracks for Norfolk Southern Railroad, which has been a major complication in the development of the project. 4 tracks are at the south end of Norfolk Southern's yard, and then there is a 5th track that is on the Y that goes to the west along Wellington Road that you can see on the map. After review of the project with Norfolk Southern and some negotiations, the trail is going to have to be narrowed to 6 feet where it crosses the tracks in order to meet the requirements that they have for grade crossing safety. Slide please, Clay. The total project costs, including all phases, is estimated to be about $1.2 million. And design began in December of 2021. We've just completed the 90% design and are finalizing the environmental document. Construction is anticipated to begin in the summer of 2023. And I'll pass it back off to Chloe.
Thanks, John. So I just want to remind, before we start the Q&A session, I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow is back to work day. So I hope you registered and you plan to participate. And if you haven't registered, you can still register at the link provided on the slide. Just want to let you know that the pit stop in the city is at the Manassas VRI station. Also, another event that started in April and will continue until the end of June is Mayor on the Move. So you can join the mayor on Saturday mornings to ride or walk around the historic downtown. So if you like to do that, you can meet the mayor at 8:30 at the Osborne High School parking lot, and then you'll end up at the farmers market. So now we can start the Q&A session. I'll make sure all our presenters are back. And I'll be reading the questions in the chat box. So if you have any question, I hope you had time to enter your question in the chat box. If you haven't yet, please make sure to do so now. So let me start. First question is, where can I find the Manassas Connect app? It's on, like, you install the same way all the other app, and by entering Manassas Connect, it should show up. So in the Play Store or whichever software you use to install your app. So, and if you have any issue, please feel free to contact us separately, but that should work. Second question is, for a buffer with street trees, it needs to be at least 6 feet wide. 3 feet can support the trees. Yes, I guess that's in reference to the Sudley sidewalk project, and that's correct. I mean, if the buffer is only 3 feet, that won't support any trees. So the typical section provided was just an illustration, but that's not representative of the final design. Thank you for the comment. Next question is, I would like to know how citizens can impact already implemented bike lanes. Specifically, I'm disappointed with the changes on Stonewall Road. The new bike lane removes important parking for residents. The neighborhood along Stonewall has many pedestrians and kids riding bike. Stonewall crossing by pedestrians is challenging and has been for years. Children to ride bicycle in our neighborhood. However, the new bike lane does not help with the existing bike use in our neighborhood. Sorry, it's a very long comment. I'm almost there. I do ride with my son on Stonewall Road. We prefer to be on the sidewalk. It would have been much more helpful if a continuous sidewalk existing on Stonewall Road. The most dangerous part of Stonewall for bikes requires a shared lane by the school and church. This new lane does not help that problem at all. How could I influence the removal of the Stonewall bike lane? How could I recommend sidewalk improvement instead? So like I mentioned, the Stonewall Road bike lane were installed as part of the paving program. We will take your comment into consideration. You can always email us and providing that comments or additional details if you would like. The Stonewall bike lane is the only one in the city that the city impacted few parking spaces. However, like you say, it's already done. So I mean, but you can still provide your comments, and if others feel the same way, that's something that can be discussed. I mean, it's paving marking, so it can be removed the same way it was done. So we'll, like I said, this comment will be saved, but if you would like to provide us additional details, please email me separately. Thank you.
I can go ahead and read the next question for you, Chloe.
Okay.
You've been doing a lot of talking.
Thanks.
So there's a question from Alan about why not conduct a road diet. I believe this is on Dumfries Road. There's no need for more than one travel lane per direction.
Well, a road diet will have to be studied first, and it's not something that's been integrated in the transportation master plan. So at this time, the idea was to at least have bike facilities to connect the two new trails. I mean, one with the Grant Avenue project and then the Dumfries Trail. So that's an option, I guess, for the future if traffic shows that it's not needed. Mainly after seeing the impact of the Grant Avenue Streetscape project, traffic will change on that area. So that's something that will need to be considered. So thanks for your comment, and will be reevaluated as part of the next transportation master plan.
Great. There was a question about where to provide comments on the various projects. I believe Lisa posted the link in here to all the transportation projects on the City of Manassas website. This presentation had the links on the final slide, and this will also be posted for everyone to access those links following the meeting.
Yeah, and I can go to the next slide. Is that's more helpful instead of listing the project? You can see the links here and our contact information. So please keep note of that and send us your email.
The next question was that they are concerned about the significant reduction on street parking, especially along Stonewall Road. Please consider alternatives that will address both bike and walking and parking. Please limit parking or maybe limit parking to one side with overnight required residential permits or other alternatives.
Yes, like I mentioned previously, Stonewall was the only one where parking was impacted because it was on a section where the parking was not used a lot, and everyone has driveways and ways to park. But if the community they don't feel comfortable with that, so yeah, again, please send us your comments.
Very good. There's a question if this presentation is available. It will be made available. The recording will be posted following the meeting. I think there's a couple more other questions about the Stonewall bike lanes. Then there's a question, is there a list of potential bike lane retrofits within the next year or two of roadway resurfacing?
A list currently, no. I mean, the list of paving is usually on the website, or in the capital improvement program. There's a list where it says all the roadways are going to be paved. However, there's not a list that says they're going to be paved and then they'll be installed bike lane. That list is not available.
Yep. Is the Stonewall bike lane going to be redone to allow street parking? That is not the plan. Because Stonewall Road was just repaved, and with adding the bike lane, the plan right now is not to remove that bike lane. But please, as Chloe said, go ahead and please provide your comments if that is something that you'd like to communicate. There are a few more comments on here about the Stonewall bike lane. I'll go ahead and read them now. When I brought up parking concerns about the city, I was told to park around the block, and this is not a sustainable long-term solution. That you do not feel safe walking alone down the street at all times. And can the bike lanes be restricted to one side of Stonewall? That is a good comment. I think we've hit on this a couple times, as Chloe said, that please go ahead and provide these comments here. We'll take note of them. You can also provide them on the bike ped transportation website at the city, or the city website, that we can take the note of these comments as we continue to improve our bike ped plan around town. Next question is, as a property owner, your trail cuts through our property, but we do have liability issues. Okay. Next. But never mind. Sorry, I was thinking that might be related to the next comment down. That's comments from Jim. And Jim, I think, Chloe, would you like to take this one, or you want me to?
I'm just not sure which project are we referring to.
Jim, if you'd like to reach out to Chloe following the meeting, I can speak for her. We'd be happy to set up a meeting with you one-on-one to discuss any issues that you have related to it. But I mean, obviously, the projects that Chloe presented today are in very preliminary stages of concept planning. And so this is the best time to start having those discussions. For the next question, for Godwin Trail North, this section loops out from and returns to the existing roadway. What is the evaluation regarding the suitability of the existing roadway, for example, the Wellington Trail design? I think that I can answer that question. The Godwin Trail North plan at this point is to stay within the alignment. I think the sketch of the alignment on the slide might have showed a little bit more wandering than is actually planned at this point. The Wellington Trail design does move away from the roadway a little bit. And it's a bit of a complicated answer as to why that is, but the trail is in the right of way for Wellington Road. For anybody who's been around the city for a little while, when the Wellington Road overpass was constructed, the Route 28 overpass was constructed over Wellington Road about 10 or 15 years ago, the Wellington Road was realigned to basically out of the old right of way. And so the trail is in the existing right of way for Wellington Road. And so that's why it appears to move away from the road. The next question, I live on Stonewall Road and do not like the bike lane or the parking restrictions. We were not informed of this parking change. Is there a separate parking lane and bike lane on Rolling Road? Can this be changed for Stonewall? Chloe, is there anything else you'd like to say to address
I just
this?
want to say that on Running Road, there was a space to do both. On Stonewall, there's no space to do both. So it's either the bike lane or the parking. Again, a trade-off, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's all I want to add.
The next question, or comment, the lanes on Stonewall do not really connect to the rest of the plan that well. Are there additional concerns that try to be addressed besides bikes?
So it does connect to the rest of the plan because as I mentioned, as I show, and I can go back in the slide. Right now it doesn't here, but on the overall, you can see how it connects to the overall network. It doesn't connect now because the network has to be built one piece at a time, but it will connect over time. And the other thing that the bike lanes were installed for was, of course, provide facilities for bicycles, but also to calm traffic. And we had a lot of complaint from the community about speeding on Stonewall Road, and traffic calming is about narrowing travel lanes so people drive slower, and bike lanes help do that. So that was also a response to that type of complaint.
Got it. The next question, has Manassas expressed interest in adjacent jurisdictions about building connections so city residents can All right.
I apologize.
That's okay. Welcome back, Chloe. We just took a question about the connections to the Splashdown Water Park and the Signal Hill Water Park in the adjacent jurisdictions. The next question or comment is again about the Stonewall bike lanes. I'm concerned about the new Stonewall bike paths since it takes away from parking on Stonewall Road. Residents are parking on Peabody and Hazel in front of my house and my neighbors. And he and the neighbors are concerned. Is there anything they can do to change this? I think we've touched on the Stonewall bike lanes a lot today. I think that providing us with your feedback now will allow us to continue to make informed decisions as we build out the rest of the bike network around the city. The next question, what is the city process for engaging with landowners whose property is to be taken for these projects? Naika, do you want to do that, Chloe?
I mean, just overall, the process starts with the planning phase, and that's why we're having this meeting, showing you early concept, and that's why we notify all the property owners about this project early in the process. So that's where it starts. Then information on the website, and we are ready to meet with property owners one-on-one or having phone conversation to start discussing the impact. However, we don't know at this point the exact impact, and that I'll turn it over to engineering to explain the process once we get further in design.
Naika, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, maybe I can speak a little bit. So if any private property is impacted by the city project, we typically use our consultant to reach out to the property owners and start the right of way or easement acquisition process during the design. So and that's pretty much how the easements and right of way acquisition and negotiation starts, about the 60% design.
Great. Thanks, Sung.
Yeah.
The next question, the bike lane rolling road allows for on-street parking. Why was this design not used for Stonewall Road as well? I think Chloe addressed that question earlier, that there's a different pavement width, different roadway width on rolling, and so there is room for both the parking and the bike lane. That was not the case on Stonewall. Let's see. There are several other questions on here about the Stonewall Road bike lanes. We are going to, I think we've talked about those a lot through this point. I think there are a few questions down below about other projects. So we're obviously taking note of all these comments on the Stonewall Road bike lanes, and we will be publishing all the comments that we received following the meeting. The next question is that, let's see, from Robert, most of the other trails are not adjacent to homes. The Godwin Trail North is adjacent to the backyards of the houses along Sweetbriar Street. The elevation of the trail will enable users to view over the 6-foot privacy fence behind those homes. Those homes will need higher fences to preclude trail users from viewing into their bedrooms. Can this project include permits of 10-foot high fences and include installation of those fences? Chloe, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. And that's why we're doing this. We appreciate the comments. And like I said, once if the project goes forward because the community supports it, then we'll make sure engineering gets all those comments and it can be addressed as part of design, which we won't do that now because we're at the concept level, but in design, that's where we'll address specific like that. So yes, it's possible. If that's something that the communities feel strongly about, we can do that.
Great. The next question or comment is that it's their understanding that Godwin Drive between Wellington and Sudley is going to be impacted by the Route 28 bypass. Those of you who don't know, that's the Route 28 bypass project that Prince William County is doing between Godwin Drive and the intersection of Godwin Drive and Sudley Road, and going up past Yorkshire and tying into Route 28 in Fairfax County. Have the city's bike ped plans taken this into account?
Yes, the transportation master plan took the bypass into account when looking at the whole network, transportation network. So yes. Great.
There are a few more comments here on Stonewall bike lanes. As I mentioned, we're going to skip ahead just to comment on some of the other projects at this point. The next question, who is responsible for the electric scooters that people use and leave all over the city, including in the roadways, bike lanes, and sidewalks?
So the scooters are Bird Scooters, which is a program from Bird. So if there's any issues with scooters, people can leave comments or request the scooters to be removed via the app, Bird app, or there's a phone number on the scooter and the email. So the 3 ways to contact the fleet manager that will who is local and will remove the scooters as soon as a request is made. I mean, as soon as possible, the request is made.
Great. And there's another follow-up question there asking if e-scooters and e-bikes are allowed on sidewalks or the shared use paths or walkways.
They are allowed on bike facilities, yes.
Yes, and there's a comment down below about the e-scooters and e-bikes being considered motorized vehicles. All right. I think that the rest of the comments in here are about Stonewall bike lanes. Chloe, is there anything else that we wanted to say to address, kind of wrap up Stonewall comments at this point, before we kind of respond to the rest of these following the meeting?
We'll make sure we respond to those comments and questions. All of them will be posted on the website. So if you don't have time to address, write your comments, you can send us email separately. Like on the slide, you can see our contact information. So we'll make sure to pass on the complaints we received today about the Stonewall road bike lanes. It will impact future process and see what can be done about those that currently. Any other questions, John, on other projects or any
I
other
haven't.
question?
Yeah, I haven't seen any other questions on other projects besides what we've already addressed.
Okay. Should we give everyone a few more minutes to make sure there's no additional comments or questions? We'll give a few more minutes, and if there's nothing else, then we'll close off.
Great.
Very well. Thanks again for joining us today. Have a great afternoon, and we hope to hear from you. Thanks.
Thank you.